What's up? What's going on, guys? Hello, hello, hello. Happy week. Good to see you. I want to start this out right. I want to start this out and let everybody know that, the Super Bowl's around the corner. In the beginning of the season, a gentleman that I'm friends with who will be joining us on this podcast today by the name of Dan Baker, and I had a friendly beef bet. And that bet was who could finish the season with a better record. Was it the Cowboys of the city of Dallas in the state of Texas, or was it the New York Jets who play New Jersey? And obviously the end of the season came. I mean, the Jets were a disaster. The winner of that bet, the loser of that bet actually got a pretty terrible prize. Has to shave their chest and go to a tanning salon and put a stencil of some sort or cream or whatever it is and put the logo of the other team on their chest. So once the, I guess, and maybe I should do it now actually, because there's no beach weather. And so no one will see it, but I will be posting pictures of that. And reluctantly, but I will do it. I will have a star, a Texas, a Cowboy star on my chest, tanned in there. And without further ado, I bring to you Mr. Dan Baker. Dan.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, coming at you live from the home of not the team from Dallas, God's team, the team of America. I mean, listen, facts are facts. You can't argue with the greatness that is the Cowboys. We may not have won, but we beat the Jets. So I'm so excited for you. And technically, thank you for owning up to the bet. I was a little bit nervous, to be honest with you, because you stopped answering my text messages and calls for about 3 weeks there. But I'm glad that you're owning up. My understanding, because I ought to look back at the tape, we're supposed to shave all of our body hair from the chest or from the neck down, and then get it live when you're doing that. I mean, we'll talk about the specifics, but yeah, man, I'm super excited for you. Something happens when you put a star on your chest. I think it just makes you a better person, and it also makes you wear shirts with sleeves on them.
Yeah, I don't believe in sleeves.
Oh, well.
unless it's really cold. Unless it's really cold, I just don't believe in sleeves.
Everett, I'm so excited for you, man. Seriously, this is going to be. I mean, you may not want to remove the star. I mean, I'm hoping that's the case.
I think I'll remove. The star will naturally remove itself. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really worried about any of that. Mm-hmm. The star will remove itself in time, and
okay.
And there we will be. And so there you go.
Okay, so before the podcast is over, we have to discuss the bet for next season, because next year is our year. So,
well, every year and it's always the next year for the I have no delusions of grandeur. It's always the next year. Like every single Cowboy fan is always the next year, right? And look, here's the deal. Like I want to see the Cowboys win as long as they're not playing the Jets. So I don't really care. Like I don't have a dog in the fight, so to speak.
I don't know. You're doing this a little bit too much. I feel like you do have a dog in the fight,
bro. Please. All right. So. Dude, in any case, man, you won the bet. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I guess we can do it live if you want to, we can.
Well, I mean, I think the people need to see it live. I mean, if we're going to do it, we got to go all the way. That's what the Cowboys do. They go all the way. If you do good, you go all the way. If you do bad, you go all the way.
Well,
and the whole thing about this year's our year, listen, the glass isn't half full. If the glass is half full, I just get a smaller glass.
Yeah. So what Dan and I were going to do real quick was this week. The guest tonight is it's going to be super cool, super informative. We're going to roll. I mean, dude, awesome guy. His name's Adam Timms. He works for Dynamic Air. And we're really going to break. We're going to break the. We're going to break some hearts here, I guess. So
It's going to be a great time.
Okay, so we do have in the audience here today, we do have Gene Slade. So Gene decided to
Mr.
join
Slade,
us.
What's up, dog?
So if anybody that doesn't know who Gene is, Gene is I guess it's like Sales Ninja or something like that, HVAC Ninja. Mm-hmm. He does training and but he catches a lot of heat on the IAQ trail. So I figure we let him in this chat. We'll see what's what. We'll see we'll see how the chatter goes.
Gene, are you a Cowboys fan, buddy?
Gene lives in Florida, I think. So he
has to be, because Florida has horrible teams.
He's probably a Bucks fan. In any case, lead ninja. So in any case, earlier on this week, I posted I posted something, and it was like, so the concept of this podcast was, so I was in this house. So we're going to read a couple of stories here that were submitted. So I was in this house. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to go down the line here. Okay. So I was in this house. No. Okay. It doesn't want to load. It'll get there. So there were stories that were submitted. So I was in this house, and one of the funniest ones actually was, I'm going to stop that from, I'm going to pause that. Okay. One of the funniest things that was posted was, so I was in this house to repossess a bed. Okay. So this individual, this individual actually works for he worked at like an Aaron's type of store. It might've been Aaron's, where it's like rent a furniture. And so they sent him out. I guess somebody didn't pay their bill, and he went to go repossess the bed. And, he said, I'm not going to repossess this bed because it was it was filled with bed bugs. He was like,
oh man,
no, sir. So
I'm on a diet now.
Yeah, that was funny. Here's another one. So I was in this house, and this guy said, Jasper Nickel said, it's in the basement under a couple of boxes. Okay. Kyle, who's on the board of TACA with me, Kyle Doring says, I arrived at a house and knocked on the door. A kid answered and casually told me not to worry about the miniature poodle. Right as the little menace ran up and sank its teeth into my ankle. After realizing the parents weren't home, I told the kid I'd have to come back later. When I returned, the parent opened the door and, to my disbelief, repeated the exact same reassurance, just as the tiny terror latched onto my ankle once again. People.
I love it.
People. Oh, my gosh. So this all started because my story was that I went into a house and the guy was like, oh, don't worry. I'm like, dog, he's right. Like a little fish. It will never bite you. And dude, that thing ran. I was sitting at the table. That thing ran right up to my ankle and just absolutely demolished my ankle. I was surprised it didn't like. And he's like, oh, I cannot breathe. I was like, yeah, your dog just bit me. And he like ran into the other room.
All right. Sounds like a Nebraska accent.
It was, yeah. He was from Omaha, Nebraska.
That's what I was thinking. Same, yeah.
Okay, so Shelly, who I'm friends with, Shelly said, Shelly cleans out, does like hoarder houses, and they go in and they clean everything out. They get dumpsters so that they can get ready to like sell the house. So she says, so I was in this house and I couldn't tell if it was a hoarder's paradise, a haunted mansion, or just an extreme game of the floor is lava, where the lava won 10 years ago. I took one step inside and a tower of newspapers from 1993 wobbled like it was debating whether to attack. Somewhere in the distance, a cat meowed, but I never saw a cat. And when I tried to turn on the light, the switch was covered in so much dust that I think I accidentally summoned a genie, who immediately looked around and said, yeah, I'm not cleaning this.
Oh my God. Well, the positive spin on that story is that the paper's from 1993 and there was nothing but good news back in the 90s, right?
Dude, I don't think so. I think that there's been bad news like forever and ever and ever. And then there was one story on Instagram from HVAC Install Her. She goes, so I was in this house with floor to ceiling hoarding, trash everywhere, and they got upset that I carried the furnace out without shoe covers.
Come on.
Dude,
come on.
I can't. And I asked, I said, were they just trying to get free stuff? Like, was that what they were trying to do? I have no idea. I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think that's the best one so far.
That was pretty funny. Okay. We got Gene in the chat. We got people in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Adam Timms. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Adam? How you doing, Adam?
Good. How are y'all?
You want to be honest or lie?
Whether no matter how I answer that, I'm going to know the truth.
I'm doing absolutely fantastic.
Michael McCoy says, abolish sleevery.
Okay. You know what? I changed my mind. Instead of the Cowboys logo, you got to get that emblazoned on your chest.
Oh my God. Abolish sleevery. Michael McCoy, that is, and Rich Middleton says, replying to Michael McCoy is the best comment ever. I'm going to agree. Abolish sleevery. Actually, Rich, I think it's time we print some shirts that say abolish sleevery. And like, I'm talking like no sleeves, like as far as we can go without having like any sleeves.
Let me ask you this. Do you shave before the show or are you just naturally?
I don't have to shave my arms. I don't. Yeah. I only grow hair at the bottom. I only grow hair at the bottom of my arms.
You do look like you walk fast without all that drag.
Yeah, I don't need all that. I don't need the air. I don't need the air, the wind resistance. Yeah. So Adam, do me a favor. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, all that good stuff, man.
How much
Just
time
go
you
ahead,
man. Yeah. So I'm originally from Texas. I've been in the HVAC industry for 23 years now. 2025 turned 23 in the industry. I did not know life was going to take me to indoor air quality the way that it did. I was one of those technicians back in the day that when I first started in the industry, I started in commercial, and then 2009 transitioned into residential, and residential sort of been the arena for me ever since. And then around 2017 or 18, I wanted out of the industry. I did not want to be in the industry anymore. I wasn't fun. I'm tired of working 70, 80, 90 hours a week for peanuts, it feels like. And you ever have that person in your life that just says, that knows how to think better than you do? I have that. And I have, my beautiful wife her and I were, we were just freshly married, and she said, yeah, I got this opportunity to go get interview at this another residential company when I actually wanted out of the industry. And she said, this is what she hits me with. And how do you bounce back from this too? This is what she says. She goes, I just really feel like this is where the Lord wants you. So what do you say?
You go with the Lord. You go with the Lord.
That's one of those. Right. Yes, sir. I mean, that's yeah. You can't refuse that.
Yeah. And so I did not take the high road. I actually took the road of sort of being upset with her. And I said, all right, basically to say, all right, I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove to you this is the wrong idea. Boy, was I wrong. And I ended up working for a company right here out of Dallas. And at that point, up to then, I had only ever been, if I was in the HVAC industry, I'd only ever been hourly. Going into a place that forced you to be performance-based, let's call it what it is, commission. Mm-hmm. When I was given the opportunity to become performance-based, I kind of had that feeling of, I don't want to come across as a used car salesman. You don't want to come across as, salesy and that kind of deal. But at the same time, it's the way the company worked. They wanted you to be performance-based. So that's kind of what they made me. So you have to find, when you get that, knowing what you've known all the way up to that point, at that time, 15 years or so, whatever it was, I had kind of thought that I've got to figure out ways that I can get down on a customer's level. I need to be able to I don't need to be saying stuff like, using refrigerant pressures and temperature splits and all that stuff like that customers don't really understand. What do you say to get down on their level? And I happened to be walking through the very early on there at that company, and I happened to be walking through the office. I heard a couple of guys talking in one of the bullpens, and one of the other guys said to another, he said, I don't understand why our guys aren't selling more IAQ. Well, in my mind, as a performance-based technician, what I heard was there's another resource that I have that I could be offering. Okay. So I walked over to him and I said, hey guys, I heard y'all talking. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I heard y'all talking. What's IAQ? I couldn't spell it.
Yeah. It's three letters. It's three letters. Yeah. It's an I followed by an A followed by a Q.
Exactly.
And for those that don't know what IAQ is, because most people do, but it's indoor air quality. All right.
Yeah.
So
I used to call it EOC.
Yeah. I didn't know what it was.
No, you didn't.
They said, well, it's indoor air quality, and we offer trainings. We can get you certified in indoor air quality. We can get you certified in airflow, all these different things really that encompass indoor air quality as a whole. And I said, sign me up. I'll do anything and everything I need to do to learn as much as I can about this industry that I've been in for however many years at that point. And in turn, fast forward a couple of years, I ended up getting pretty good at what I do. And in indoor air quality sales alone, my last year in the field, before I left the field, I was generating a little over $3.2 million a year in indoor air quality sales alone.
Mm-hmm. Whoa! But you were a slimy salesperson, right?
I tried not to be. I did not ever want to come across that way. My job was to educate people, and they get to be the ones to make the decision whether they're going to do business with me or not.
Right. But then this leads to the biggest question, which is like, there's a lot of people that are like, it's bullshit. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. You're selling smoke and mirrors. What do you got to say about that?
Depends on what it is. There's so many. One of the things that I say the most about is because most of the time when someone brings that to me, it's because they've used another product before. And so they believe in that, and that's okay. And when somebody comes to me and says, Adam, how do you feel about this product? And I'm never one to kick another industry or another company organization in the pants. However, everything that I do has to be based off of proof. Okay. That's something that really nobody else has ever been able to provide. So one of the things that I say to my technicians all the time is big print giveth, little print taketh away. So think about your Lysol can. What does it say across the front of a Lysol can?
99.9%
kills 99.9% of we killed the COVID virus. All those kinds of things. You ever read the back of it?
No.
Nobody has. That's where
it says like 15. There's like 15 things on there. It's like streptococci and this and that and everything. All right. Well,
right.
Yeah.
Down at the bottom, the very first precautionary statement on the back of a Lysol can says, do not use around humans or domestic animals.
Seriously?
Is that right?
Can I raise?
No idea.
I've got a quick question. Who's spraying the can?
Wow.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Not a robot.
Right. So that's why I say big print giveth, little print taketh away. You've got so many.
All right. So tie that into IAQ then. What kind of give me the big print, give me the small print.
With us, with Dynamic Air Quality Solutions, there's no fine print. You've got other entities out there that whenever it's brought to me, the very first words that said, well, I'm not going to name any other products right now, but if they say X product says this, okay, backtrack real quick. That's the problem. They say. Everybody, the technicians that you've been around before, all the technicians that are usually under me say the same exact thing. They've been lied to. They've been lied to their whole life. In this industry, that we care deeply about. And I promise you right now, there's places that you can go to, even on Amazon. Challenge me on this. You can go to Amazon and find one of these products for $509 and turn around and sell it to a customer for $2,500. Okay.
Wow.
I've done the test on that particular. If you ask me, Adam, how do you compare to this? How does your product compare to this? I can give you any kind of documentation that you want. Okay. I can give you some side-by-side product versus product. I can give you all kinds of stuff. Okay. I was able, because of where I work now, I was able to actually physically put my hands on these tests. Okay. I put skin in the game for the technicians that we try to reach every day. So that skin in the game proved to me exactly what those questions are. Okay. There is a specific amount when it comes indoor air quality, it encompasses a lot. So when you're talking about a product,
hang on before you move on. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying you've been a part of these tests. You're not saying the products but you are saying that there are products out there that do not work as advertised, or they're not doing it as advertised, or they're not as effective as advertised, or they just don't work at all.
I would venture to say all the above, because that's why I say anybody, if you come up with, let's just say a UV light. Okay. Let's talk about UV. If you come up with a UV light, to use a double negative, UV can't not work. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. UV is UV. It's going to work.
Right. Okay? So I'm going to dumb it down a little bit here, just for anybody, because I get a lot of audio listeners that maybe, some of them are in the truck, but some are in different fields. Sure. So like when we're talking about here is UV has been around for 100 years. It sterilizes, it sanitizes, it's scientific, right? UV light, UV rays, UVA, UVB, it sanitizes. That's what it does, right? And it actually, the way that it does it is interesting, but regardless, it inhibits the growth. It inhibits the ability for the bacteria, and you can correct me, for it to procreate. That's the concept of UVA, UVB, right?
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. There's the chat's a little busy here, so I want to get this here. Okay, so Gene says, and we're going to get back to what you're saying, because this is a good topic. Gene says source control is super important, but most contractors don't have home depressurization equipment to find envelope leaks. Treating is better than doing nothing, and fixing envelope leakage is super important as well. Yeah, that goes into building science, and that's a deeper conversation. Totally. I've done building science. I BPI program, home performance, the whole deal. Totally get it.
And I've even noticed in one of the comments too, one of my buddy, one of my best friends on the planet, Dean Hobson, has put in there, two things you got to remember: science and logic. It's that simple. A product has to work scientifically, but it also has to work logically in a real world application. It has to be moving. And we're going to talk about a residential system. Airflow moving at 500 feet per minute. That's fast. That means that if you have an ancillary product inside of an airstream and you have airflow moving across it that fast, and you got an itty bitty UV light about like
that, you don't have enough time. You don't have enough time for it to do anything, right?
That's my point.
So really what ends up happening is it takes care of the surface that it's touching, the light is touching, but it doesn't actually take care of it in the airstream. Okay. Makes sense. I think that makes sense. Now, there are also products that advertise, and they also put science together, and they do field market studies. You sell some of these, right? That do hydrodeionization, photocatalytic oxidation, which are scientifically sound things, right? Whether it's carbon microfibers, or whether it's, putting out hypercharged particles into the air that attract other particles. What do you say to that?
Don't get too sciencey with it, because most of the time, like hydro radicals are almost a theory. I understand that it's real. So look at my boy Dean putting some stuff in there.
Just so people that are listening audio, Dean said surface versus airstream, two different issues to combat. Yes, totally get it. Yeah.
Yes. And you were talking the stuff that you just talked about. I mean, most of this stuff is PCO technology, photocatalytic oxidation. I mean, now you don't typically talk about stuff like that, but I mean, that's the kind of stuff that, it is a real thing. It does happen. But most of those cases, you have to use ozone. Ozone has to be used in a safe way. But now you're talking about a different phase of contamination. And that's where the misconception is, in my opinion. The misconception is that, oh, Adam, what do you think about this product? Oh, cool. What are you doing for the other two phases of contamination? Most of the time, I get this blank look because no one knows.
So what you're saying is, so just talk about the studies that you've been a part of, because I think this is where a lot of people think that it's smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
So talk about, and you could talk about just your products, that's fine. And what that has proven in laboratory studies, so that when if you're a technician or you're a sales rep, you're selling a system, or you're not, or you're just looking at the duct or whatever it is, and they say, yeah, we've got allergies, we've got asthma, hay fever, respiratory problems, whatever it is, so that there's data to support that. And before you start, Gene says he endorses Dynamic. They recently purified the air for a mansion he uses in Orlando for events. Thank you, Dynamic. Michelle Hogan and Steve, the man with the plan. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So go ahead. What are these studies that you've been a part of that you could say to people like, this is what I've been a part of? Because, by the way, and I've seen the data.
Yeah. And the studies, at least that I've been a part of. Now, I have seen studies that we as an organization have done through third-party facilities and third-party organizations, up all the way up to the point, but even before I came on board here. But what I actually physically got to do is we have a third-party testing facility up in Green Bay that I tested every product that is usually seen in the DFW area. Okay. And are we allowed to say that? Are we allowed?
You can say whatever you want, dude.
All
this is America. This is America.
We tested Remy Halos, which is it's a very popular indoor air quality product around here. And also we did air scrubber. Air scrubber is one of those things that people claim, they make these claims that they're with NASA. Well, I have the documentation proving that they're not. Most people say, well, they say, well, that's the problem. They say they don't have anything to back it up. Whenever you
air scrubber, doesn't air scrubber say it's the same technology that's used? Like they don't actually say that their product is in. It's misleading, but they don't actually. Yeah. Brad does want to know: did Brett Favre participate in the testing in Green Bay?
Words right out of my mouth. I was just about to jump in with that.
Yeah. No, he did not. He didn't do that. And Brad, you and I will talk later.
Not even in his volleyball facility.
Okay, so go to the data and let's brass tack it, right? So talk about the study about the 2,000 square foot room.
Yeah, the 4,000
full of bacteria. Yeah.
Yes, the 4,000 square foot room, and there's actually a prelude to that, because what happened was there's a place called it's a third party testing place called LMS Technologies in Minnesota. We did a test there in 2021. Okay. We did a test there because Remy Halo did a test there. Okay.
Okay.
When they go and do their test, they put their UV light over over a bunch of pieces of bacteria inside of a confined shell, a glass, for the lack of a better term, fish tank. Okay. They did it, exposed it over UV for 24 hours, came back, the bacteria was dead. They proved that bacteria was dead. 24-hour exposure, however long exposure that it was, sure, that bacteria died. When was the last time you went in someone's home that was as big as a fish tank?
Yeah.
That's my point.
New
so
Jersey.
Then the same entity builds us a 4,000 cubic feet testing chamber. Okay. Similar to the size of a home. What they did was they gave us 2,000 CFMs of airflow, respectfully a 5-ton unit. Okay. Mm-hmm. Gave us supply air and return air, installed our products on the outside of the room, and then they aerosolized the room with bacteria, sprayed bacteria into the room, filled it up. They turned the fan on, let it circulate, do its thing. Now you got the airstream full of this bacteria with one of our UV lamps. I've got the study. with one of our UV lamps, 91% free of bacteria in 5 minutes. With 2 UV lamps,
Wow.
almost 96% free of bacteria. But no bones about it. I don't care if you've got 1 UV lamp or 2 UV lamps. Within 15 minutes, we can render that whole home harmless.
Oh, wow.
That's the power of these things. And that's the stuff that people won't tell you.
So there's a lot of people that also say, and I have an answer for this, but there's a lot of people that also say that, well, you're killing all the good bacteria too.
Oh, okay. I'll go with it. Okay.
So there's an interesting thought. There's an interesting thought about this, and this is actually the way that I was taught from, the people that put together this data, which is that yes, so you're sterilizing a space, right? However, and I forget who it was, but anyway, so we're talking about how your immune system acts like sort of like a glass, right? So like in the world, when you go out and you kids go to school and everything else, like you're constantly fighting shit off. You're constantly fighting all this stuff off, right? You're out there, you're in the world. There's just all this stuff, right? So then what happens is our houses in today's day and age, for the most part, are so tight that the indoor air that we breathe becomes it's in many cases they've proven, I mean, there's studies on this stuff where you've got like closed home sickness, you've got closed home sickness, and like there's all sorts of data on that. Like they've said like asthma in kids has gone up over the last like 50, 60 years since modern construction, because the houses just don't breathe anymore, right? Houses used to be made of like plaster and like there's all sorts of air exchange in there. You just don't have that anymore. So then if you clean up the air inside, you're at least not fighting off all of the shit when you're at home. Your immune system has more sort of space, if you will, to fight off the nasty stuff that comes in. And actually, so I'm a true believer in IAQ. I have 2 systems. I have Dynamics in my house, by the way.
You're welcome.
I know. Thank you for that. But I did, by the way, I had 2 other products. I had 2 other products in here. I had so I've had 3 separate products in my house. I had one for the first floor, one for the second floor, and then I got Dynamics products, which has stayed in there since I got it. And the thing I can say is like, I know people, and I know that there's a lot of factors involved, but I can probably say that I believe wholeheartedly that over the years, my kids have missed less school because I've had a sterilizer constantly running in my house. Can I prove it? Probably not. But I did there's a precise air machine that was, I think Lennox had, and I tested the VOCs in my house after install. And so I just was testing chemicals in the air, which in any new construction, any less than 30 or 40-year-old house, you're going to have tons of chemicals in the air.
Oh yeah.
And I came up nilch. I had nothing in the air, basically. I had like no VOCs, which was nuts. So, that's pretty wild. Okay. Dynamic is the strongest market. What good bacteria? No. Okay.
Yeah. Let's get on.
Tony Doney. By the way, I love Tony Doney. I'm here for this. Tony, I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Honeywell has machines too. Yes. Honeywell does have. Honeywell has the air testing advice machines. Yes. And I think it's actually called Air Advice, and they're not cheap.
Air Advice. Lennox makes that.
Yeah.
So I've got a question that everybody's thinking, but nobody's asked yet. Do you see a noticeable difference on chili dog night on the inside of the house, or does it work just the same?
Yes, you do. You actually do see a difference because it takes care of cooking smells as well.
Oh, that's not the bacteria I was talking about.
This is actually a perfect story. This happened today. I mean, literally hours ago. I got home. My wife said it was 1:25. I talked to my wife on the phone at 1:25. She said, "Hey, I cooked salmon in the air fryer."
Okay.
She said, "I need to." She goes, "I left the plate soaking in the sink, but the salmon kind of smelled up the house. Can you let me know when you get home if it still smells that way or if we need to do some more cleaning?" I said. She goes, "Let's see if your air purifier really works." So she hits me with. So I was like, well, babe, I'll be home at like 2. And it usually takes a couple of hours for it to work. I got home. If she hadn't told me she cooked, I would have never known it.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, it does. It does. Andrew Blackburn has a question. Is dynamic a PCO or UV?
It's all 3 phases of contamination. It is not PCO. We are UVV, UVC, and we handle particulates as well.
Okay, so explain to everybody what the difference is between UVV, UVC, and the third one that you said.
Yeah, so UVC energy is kind of like the sun. Okay, you don't want to look at it; you'll burn your retinas. Okay, the only thing that's going to help it is frozen bags of vegetables. Okay, ask me how I know. Okay. And
what was the third one you said? UVC, UVV, and what else?
So, well, the third is what handles the third phase of contamination, which is particles. Okay.
Okay.
UVC energy is going to kill your germs. UVV, which is ultraviolet vacuum, let's call it what it is. That's ozone. Okay. That's your smell good unit. Okay. So in most cases, UVV is going to be that's going to be your smell good unit. That's what's going to handle your pet smells and salmon smell through the house and all that kind of. That's what the UVV is going to do. Okay, so it's kind of like this. We just kind of got done with some storms here in Dallas. Okay, Let's say the storm is on its way. It's not here yet, but it's coming. You walk outside. Right. We all do it, including me. We all do it. You walk outside. You do this. You go. I smell
rain.
Ozone. No, you don't. No, you don't.
It's ozone.
What
is it ozone?
You smell, no. What you smell is the epitome of fresh air.
It's deionization is what it is.
Exactly. It's Mother Nature pulling all of the air that you're accustomed to smelling. Mm-hmm. It's Mother Nature pulling all of that stuff out and providing you with fresh air.
Wow. What is so interesting about this is I was talking about this today because the rain came in and obviously plants put out oxygen to breathe. And then oxygen's also anyway. It's interesting because if you go to areas like Florida that are like rainy all the time, or they have lots of flora and lots of things, you can definitely smell quite a difference in the air.
Oh yeah.
And so it's so funny because it's crazy that the same technology that is being used in these products is stuff that Earth already does.
Yeah. Right? Yep.
It's already being done on Earth. I've heard lightning storms do complete deionization, lightning hits and zaps all the.
And that's that's the reality of what we do to I guess to make it a little bit more simple is, if you can wrap your mind around it this way, is we harness the energy of Mother Nature, wrap it into a product, and put it in customers' homes and commercial applications across the world. You don't get to be, let me put it this way, you don't get to be in 17 different countries and not know what you're talking about.
Hey, man.
Give me a real world story of you being in a house and maybe hearing, and I want to tell one too, because that's really cool. Give me a real world story of an application where you did this, you put this in somebody's house and, maybe there was a cool story there, maybe a difference, whatever it was.
Oh gosh, there's so many. So we've all been to the smoker's house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We had a scenario one time where you could actually, and we have pictures of it too, where there was smoke. You could actually see smoke. It's not
stains on the walls.
Yeah. Yes. And then you happen to look and you can kind of push the picture frame over and the wall behind it is white. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now it's not a magic trick. You got to be careful what you tell customers, because I know what you said. You know what you said. What the customer here? Is it going to clean the walls and take the smell? Okay. You got to do some upholstery work. Okay. But it was that kind of home. Well, they wanted to see if they could get smoke out quicker. They understood they were smokers, but they wanted to get smoke out quicker. All this kinds of, you could see the smoke shining through the windows. And we went in and one of the contractors said, we got this crazy guy with these ugly looking pants that comes in all the time. That'd be me. And,
You wear ugly pants.
yeah. And they were like, okay,
Why do you wear
let's
ugly
try
pants?
this.
Dude, I'm part of the Ugly Pants Club. Adam, you go right ahead, sir. I apologize for ever. That was rude.
We'll get back to that later.
That's all right.
It's impact. It's all about impact. It's golf pants. So they want to get smoke out of this house. And so we went in, we put in only the polarized media air cleaner. Smoke is a particulate. It's another misconception out there. It's not a gas. Even though it does put off an odor, it's not a gas. Smoke is a particulate. And we put in our polarized media air cleaner. What happened is, and the story goes, is that within 4 days, now the media set the used one versus the one that was clean was very, very black. The brand new one was white. So you do a side-by-side comparison. You could tell a whole lot what it did. That meant it worked, but it was completely covered up within just a few days. What they did was they tried to go in and take a picture around the same time of day that they had took the picture 4 days ago when the smoke was coming in, went back in, you couldn't see it. It was not there.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's a good point. I want to bring this up, Brad, and Brad makes a comment. I think this is really important. Notice that he hasn't used a scare tactic at all. Other companies do. He's just talking about odors, particulars, etc. He hasn't said that you need to put this product or you'll die. That's legit. Okay. So this brings
That's a valid thing.
This brings this comment. Okay. Thank you, Brad, for posting that. This brings me to the crux of what's going on in some of these groups, the crux of what's going on in the world. 70% of the contractors in this business are small business owners. Okay. Yeah. And a lot of techs that are in these groups also work for companies that are like small businesses. Right. And so the concept of like, you're selling this product and you're ripping people off because you're selling them all this stuff, when we clearly have data that this stuff works, is about you. It's about the fact that you don't know how to communicate it because no one has trained you properly. No one has spent the time to teach you this stuff, and maybe they're using the wrong products. And if you again, and you know what? It was Joe there's an in-home sales group, and he posted this to like 2 days ago, and I freaking love this. And he goes, "Sales is not you believing in the product that I'm selling. It's you believing in the product that you're selling."
It's the transfer of a belief.
Transfer of belief. And so if you don't have a belief in it, then you obviously can't sell it. And actually, I would tell you right now, if you don't have a belief in something, then please don't, because you're going to sound stupid if you don't believe in it. Now, as far as the delivery of that, how people deliver that message, like that in and of itself is an art form that requires training. And the problem is, Adam, that, and I'll say this to Gene too, like a lot of these people, they want to fix stuff, right? Oh, yeah. They don't want to communicate. So this becomes a point of contention. But the reality is that you are literally doing people the most incredible justice ever by putting these things in somebody's house. Yeah. I will tell you a story, and I'm going a little rant here because I'm very passionate about this. Yeah. I had a woman who had a son who was asthmatic. His small, house was he had like one of those like it was like a colonial style house, and the son's room was a little bit small, and his bed was right by the vents and whatnot, right? Well, I remember talking to them about this. They were very interested in it because their son was suffering terribly from asthma, and there was a product, and it was a tried and true product. It was a small amount of UVB, but it was photocatalytic oxidation, which is a different thing. It's a different thing. Dynamic doesn't do it, but it's a different product. Put it in the house. Told them 100% money back guarantee. If it doesn't work, you don't think it works, we'll give you 100% of your money back. And guess what happened? I went in there after the installation was done. She literally was like almost in tears saying, "Dude, my son has no like symptoms anymore. Like they're gone. They're gone." And it was, to me, it was amazing because listen, the manufacturers come in there, they want you to sell their shit. So they're like, "Oh, this is amazing stuff." And I believed in it, and I had it in my house. So I knew it worked, and I have the dynamic in my house. I know it works. By the way, that UV light is ridiculous. It's shine, dude. The whole freaking machine is like lickety split. It's crazy. But the point is that it does work. So if you do listen to this and you don't have a transfer of belief, you know what? Reach out to Adam. Have him go through the actual data sheets with you to show you the amount that these things do and the amount that it costs versus the benefit. I would probably say that the cost benefit of an IAQ product, as long as it's done ethically, properly, as long as it's installed properly, is well worth it. So,
well, and here's another thing that I do try to convey quite a bit. And I think I said this when we were texting back and forth earlier, because this could really go I could go forever on this stuff. But one of the main things that I at least try to get across the text, yes, you want to be able to kill germs. You want to be able to, keep the house from smelling like salmon, all those kinds. I understand that. There's one thing, as an HVAC technician, if you understand the ins and outs of how an air conditioning and heating system operates, you know how to take a screw out, you know how to put one back in. Okay. Any of us that have been in the industry longer than 10 minutes, kind of how the air conditioning heating system operates. Here's one thing I always ask people. I'll ask you, how often did you go into a house and see a dirty blower wheel?
I'm going to check the everyday box.
Yeah. Like pretty much all the time.
Everyday box. Okay. So every day. It's interesting because a study was done. This was published back in 2019 that 82.3% of all mechanical failures caused by dirt or dirt-related issues.
Yeah. Harvard was part of that study, by the way.
So, and it was published in the news magazine. Okay. So this isn't, I'm way too redneck to come up with a number like that. Okay.
We're talking about ACHR News, right?
Yes. It would. Yeah. They changed the name. Yeah. It used to be just in the news. Now it's, now it's that one.
Yeah. I rode that wave with those guys. Crazy.
Right. But 82.3% of all mechanical failure is caused by dirt. I tell people all the time, remember when I had you outside, had your condenser tore apart, told you your condenser was noisy, your capacitor was weak and out of tolerance. These are the people that think you're there just to sell them something. Don't try to upsell me on IAQ. Okay. But remember I told you you're starting to have all these premature failures? The reason why you're starting to have these premature failures, the dirty air is breaking your system down. It's all in the way that you convey those messages.
I agree with that. I love this topic. Dean, I don't know what you mean by got to keep them BBs out. I don't know what
Let me tell you what Dean means.
I think I know what that means.
It's conveying the message of basketballs and BBs when it comes to filtration. When you talk about filtration with a homeowner, basketballs and BBs, they understand it. If you zoom in telescopically on a filter, it resembles a chain link fence. You take a basketball, throw it against a chain link fence, what's going to happen?
Yep.
It's going to stop.
Bounce off.
Yep.
Yeah. Take a handful of BBs, throw it at that same chain link fence, what's going to happen?
It's going to go right through.
You might get a ricochet or two, but one way or another, they're all majority going to go through. Okay. If that is the case, is it okay? And I'm talking to a homeowner. Is it okay with you that from here on out, I refer to dirt as basketballs and BBs? They get it. They understand it. Like Brad said a minute ago, ain't nobody trying to use any scare tactics. Mrs. McGillicuddy understands basketballs and BBs. Okay. So whenever you explain it like that, and then you show her the visual evidence, the pictures, the videos of what the inside of her blower looks like, her ductwork, all those kinds of things, when you're giving that visual evidence, Mrs. Jones, your filter did a great job. It stopped all the basketballs, but here's your BBs. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I get it for sure.
I like the analogy. So Gene has said a couple things in here. First of all, Andrew Blackburn wants to know where in DFW you are and wants to meet up with you. Andrew, I'll put it in the chat, or I'll post it on there. So look at that. You got a customer out of this, and this isn't even like a sales. Yeah. Okay. So let me, I'm going to pivot for a second here. And guys, listen, I've loved this conversation. Keep the chat going. Gene asked to do a separate episode. Like, dude, I mean, you can come on here. Absolutely. We could talk about, how you approach this and I think that, Gene, we can dive into kind of, what the obstacles you think are on, these stupid, groups and what happens in these groups and everything else. But,
Gotta be on that episode.
They're
too.
a riot, by the way. If you guys, by the way,
I'm gonna be on that episode.
I'm gonna plug my girl Jennifer, HVAC Chicks Jennifer. She has a group called HVAC for Life, and by the way, don't go there. Do not go there expecting like good advice or anything like that. Like go there expecting,
or if you have thin skin.
It's the back of the class group, guys. I mean, it is literally like it's bad. So, but anyway, and I actually I did their podcast from a boat, Misfits of HVAC, which was with Ryan Hughes and HVAC Chicks. But I'm gonna pivot here because I have to ask a question I ask on every single podcast, Adam. And guys, stick around. I'd love for you guys to hear this too. Adam, what is one service call, sales call, whatever experience that you've had in the field that lives with you, that shapes you, and you bring it with you wherever you go?
Oh gosh. Okay. So there was a scenario one time, and I actually used this analogy in my trainings and the analogy is that utilize me as a resource. And anytime I will be, if you'll let me, if you'll have me, if you'll trust me enough, utilize me as a resource. Okay. Because I know the importance of having that guy. I have a guy. So I would want you to have a guy. I encourage all men, have a guy that you can do life with. I'll never forget this as long as I live. I ran a call one time in Wiley, Texas. I'll never forget this.
Ooh, Wiley.
And yeah. And these people, you had to go. If I can paint the picture, you have to get the way that you get to there was a 2-system house, upstairs and downstairs. Okay. And the upstairs, the only thing that's upstairs, it's not like a bunch of rooms and bathrooms or anything like that. There's just a large landing area, which is basically filled with, on the floor, just kids' toys. When you get to the top of the stairs, there's 2 doors in the very back of the room that open up like this, and that's where the air handlers sit. One controls upstairs, one controls downstairs. Mm-hmm. That's where it was. And the guy was leading me to the units. And before I go any further, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to let everyone that's watching, listening, and you guys that are here with me, I'm going to tell you something about me that not a lot of people don't know. I am deathly terrified of snakes.
Okay. Indiana Jones.
Go, and you're a fisherman.
A regular Indiana Jones.
And you're a fisherman.
Right. If you like snakes, I want to be you. Okay. I can't do it. I don't even like lizards. That's a snake with feet.
So you go. So we're all right. So I see where this can. All right. So you get it. All right. So
I'm walking up. The guy is leading me upstairs, and there's 2 stairs. There's 2 steps left before I go into the room, and I see the 2 doors where the air handlers are, and then on the wall next to it goes. This is the glass cage that goes the entire length of this wall. Inside this cage, now it had red bungee cords around it because I guess they don't want this thing to get out. But it was an Argentinian tegu is what this was. It's a big freaking lizard. Okay. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. All right. I swear it had 10 inches between its eyes, man. Its head was this big. Okay. And I saw that thing. Now it's in a cage. So I'm like, I'm okay, but I'm not okay, but I'm all right. Okay.
I'm okay, but I'm not okay.
I appreciate your honesty here. This is awesome, man.
So I'm walking up, and when I do kind of like that, the customer happens to, and he sees my reaction, and he says, "Don't worry. That's why we got the bungees around him. Don't worry about it. He's the one you got to worry about."
Who's he?
The Argentinian tegu.
Oh, okay.
That's the one that's in the cage. He says, that's the one you have to worry about. Now, I'm a compartmentalizing type person. Okay. I need to know this moment. What do I not have to worry about? And he says, oh, come on in.
Oh, no.
So I stepped the next 2 steps up into the room. On this wall, this wall, this wall, snake cages as far as you could see.
Oh my gosh.
I'm talking about my booty hole puckered up. I said,
"Hey, can we take that soundbite? I've never heard anybody say that word quite that amazingly."
I've never heard that before. My booty hole puckered up.
I'm telling you what, man.
Wow.
And so at that moment, now I had set my tool bag down. I looked the customer square in the eyes and I said, I need to run to my truck real quick. I left the tool. My tool bag sitting right in front of me.
And the bag of wipies.
I was like, I need to run to the truck. I went, we had the big transit vans, or you can stand up in the back. I got in the back of my van, bawled my eyes out. I mean, ugly cry. Like I couldn't do it. It was that I'm that terrified.
Wow.
So I called a buddy of mine who's actually been in the chats, Mr. Dean Hobson, one of my best friends on the planet. He was a tech with me in the field at the time. I called him. He answers the phone. He's like, hey, what is going on? He didn't even say hello. He's like, dude, what's wrong with you? And I was like, dude, snakes.
Oh, he can hear you?
Yeah. He's like, as far as you can see, snakes everywhere, freaking snakes. Now, Dean, like I said, he's one of my best friends. We fish together. He knows my thing. Okay. Him, Dean, my wife, my kid, my family, they know my thing. Okay. So Dean was like, okay, calm down, go back in there, stay on the phone with me. I'll walk you through it. So I couldn't even think right. So I go back, I'm using shoulder technique. I got my phone like this. I'm doing my eyes, this big around. I'm doing checking my amp draws, doing all this stuff. And I got through it. I say that to say, I got a guy. And that's my story, that whenever I try to tell people.
So you stayed on the phone with him the whole time.
Time. I got
he was your whoopee.
No, yeah. Dude, I was like, yes.
Yes.
You had a buddy who's a whoopee.
What happened? Yeah. So what's the genesis of this snake, this fear of snakes? I'm curious.
I don't know. I've been that way as long as I can remember.
Brother, I want to just point something out to you. Okay. And there's like a line in Yellowstone that comes to mind. Right. And it's like, yeah, Texas, if it ain't going to fucking sting you, bite you, or try to fuck you, then, whatever. It's like,
yeah,
brother, snakes are like, you're from Texas. There are snakes everywhere. Dude, it doesn't matter. Dude, and that was one thing moving here I had to get used to, is like, dude, there's snakes everywhere. Like, I moved my garbage can and there's snakes underneath it. We had a guy go to a house, bro. He went to the condenser to go put his gauges on. He opened, dude, a nest of copperheads, and it was a mom with the nest of copperheads or whatever. Dude, he
little
was
green tails.
His life flashed before his eyes. Like if that mom would have, whatever. That was crazy.
Have you ever been to the Big Texan in Amarillo, the place where you eat the 72-ounce steak?
Yeah, it's right over there in between Paladero Canyon and Caprock Canyon. I go camping up there all the time. Yep.
They have a gift shop over there. In the gift shop, they've got a cage with a gigantic rattler in it. And people just go in there and take pictures with it. I don't step foot in that gift shop.
Wow.
Have you ever, what you would love or probably hate, or maybe I would love to see you hate it, would be a rattlesnake roundup. I haven't been to the one in oh, come on. We should do there should be a live show at a rattlesnake roundup and just see what happens.
No, I'm scrappy. Listen,
that was a very definitive no. You left no room for questions in that no at all. I love it.
Don't let this fool you. I'm scrappy. I'll tear your arm off. You ain't taking me nowhere.
Oh, no, I
agree with you. The only thing I have to do if we get into a fight is got to pull out my snake, and then I win.
You win.
Hey, Adam, we got a question here. Tony asked, how do we feel about IAQ devices being classified as class 2 medical devices? I have no thoughts on that at all.
Yeah. And very early on when I started training, we trained on that. You got to have a pretty definitive answer on what a class 2 medical device is. There's all kinds, because that goes kind of back to the claims that people make a little bit, because what people use that are actually classified as medical devices to provide clean air, hospital grade air, they roll around like on our little chairs, like we're sitting in. On the bottom of it's got the things with the wheels on them. Okay. And they kind of roll around like a desk chair, but there's a gigantic shaft that comes up from the floor that's got these big 3-foot tall UV lights on them. Well, they run those into a room. Absolutely, that's going to kill bacteria. Okay, so but you do have to figure out kind of what it means, because there's a class 1, a class 2, a class 3, and there's a few of those entities that actually got in trouble not too long ago because of the claims that they made. So how do I feel about indoor air quality devices that are classified that way? I feel that the proof is in the pudding. Okay. If I can't see it, if I can't see or prove what it does, somebody just put up Active Pure technology. I mean, Tony, I'll say this, and Everett, I'll tell you this. It's a lot easier to be fooled than it is to be convinced that you were fooled. Okay. A lot of these people, Active Pure technology, I've got a whole study on that. I've got files upon files across my.
Can you go into like what for people that don't know, what is Active Pure technology?
Active Pure, that's a form of the air scrubber. That's one of the names that was used for air scrubber. Okay. It goes back again.
It's a company. It's a company
versus reality.
It's a company.
Yeah.
Okay. And they've coined this Active Pure technology. I would encourage anybody, like, do your own research.
Yeah.
Reach out to
Real
Adam.
Research.
Yeah, reach out to, and Adam's super passionate about it, and so and I believe that you do have a transfer belief, and I think that your products are based upon all the data. And I've met the owner of Dynamic. I've met the engineering, sort of the mind behind it. I do believe sometimes you're buying things from people too, and when you meet an organization that is when you meet them and they can speak in terms of data and they can provide information, and that their sort of mind, heart, like their intentionality comes across as being truthful and wanting to benefit the society in general. I think that actually, and Gene, I would illuminate this point, is sometimes you can be right. You can have the best product, the thing that works the best, right?
Yeah.
But if the delivery is off, or if the deliverer is misconstrued or misunderstood or off, then we run ourselves into a conundrum where people don't believe you. And that is part of the problem. But going back on what I said, meeting the guys at Dynamic, I always had nothing but great thoughts and great things to say. So Dean actually says, goes back to science and logic plus how it was tested. One of the IQ devices can be classified as a type 2 medical device based on how it was tested. The question is, how was it tested, and does it fit real life applications? Okay, we kind of went backwards on that one. And then to bring it back full throttle here to the HVAC for Life group. Basically, Gene said they F me up every day. So for those that have not seen, I would encourage you to go there. There are reels that people have produced that showcase Gene in them, in like spoofs. I've never seen anything like that. And like, I don't know how Gene feels about it. Maybe he wants to wait till his time. But they're hilarious. I mean, they're hilarious. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So anyway,
do you fellas mind if I ask a quick question of Adam?
About who?
Just a quick question to Adam, just about the IAQ and folks coming into the trade.
I'll allow it.
Awesome. That's, you know what, I tell you what, I want to roll my sleeves up in appreciation.
You got to cut your sleeves off. Don't roll.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that aren't going to happen, and that's one of them, because I've got stars on my shoulders. Right, that's a throwback to a phenomenal movie. So I'm in recruiting. That's all I do for the trades. And there are a lot, and I think we talked about it a little bit earlier before the podcast went live. Next week, my partner and I were going to be going to Texas A&M and Commerce and doing kind of a big showcase, shining a spotlight on the trades. in your opinion, like anything else, like you had mentioned, like Everett had mentioned, anything that's delivered in a negative way is always going to have a negative outcome. If things are delivered in a positive way, in a truthful way, and and the passion's there, then it's received a different way. How important would it be for kids coming out of high school to know that this is something like, is IAQ something that would make sense to really promote to kids as an additional alternative to get into the trades, or is it just like a supplement to being a service tech? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I talk to, the younger people all the time that are, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, maybe just coming out of trade school. People that are really, I tell people all the time, get into a trade. I mean, you can do that. The reality in this industry is this: if you can learn it and you learn it the right way, like I said earlier, the ins and outs of how an air conditioning and heating system functions.
Right.
Okay. If that's what you want to do, and that's the path that you want to take, I'm going to say publicly here that it's in my opinion. I have proof to state that this is facts, but I'll just say, in my opinion, when you understand how that trade works, specifically HVAC, right. As long as you understand that 82.3% of all mechanical failure is caused by dirt, you can take indoor air quality and HVAC and make them whole.
Marry them together.
They're married together. That's in my opinion, you can't have one without the other. Okay. That's why I tell people this is much more than an ancillary product. This is much more than an upsell. It's much more than a BT Dubs, Mrs. Jones.
Yeah, that was my follow-up question.
On that point, and then Adam, people want your contact info. On that point, think about this. When they originally started designing forced air systems, and I go and I'm in an area that's really old, you would go in, and as a mandatory thing, there were 2 things installed with every system, and you always saw them there. I'm talking from the 60s, 70s. It was a Honeywell deionization machine for air filtration and a humidifier to add moisture back into the air. And then 90% of the people that go out there, they're not adding humidity into the air and they're not filtering their air properly.
Right.
And those 2 things were engineered into the design of the system when those houses were built, when they cared about the quality and the health of the houses. And
now, and 2, I mean, and I don't come from where you come from, but obviously humidification is not that big of a deal here where we live. Open the window. If you want some humidity, open the window. That's how it is here. Ionization is completely different. That's a completely different dynamic. No pun intended. You have to, when you think about ionization and how it works, an ionizer, if that's what's going to be installed.
No, deionization, and I'm talking about old school deionization plates.
Yeah.
That were just slapping particles together, and you hear every time
almost like a bug zapper, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And those things were installed. I'm telling you, I saw probably thousands of them.
I saw them up in PA as well.
And there's newer technologies of those that are still manufactured to this day. There's some of them that are great products. And then I usually pause and say, for about 60 days.
Well, because they do require maintenance, and that's a big thing with a lot of the I guess I don't want to talk Train Air Effects and the Carrier Infinity GAPA system, but and they're expensive filters. They do work. You do have to spend a lot of money on the filters to replace them. So I do believe that the dynamic product's better. As we wind down, Adam, I'm going to throw up your email address here. But also, Adam, I'm going to put a ticker on there. Give us your contact information where everybody can find you.
You can find me, the email address right there. You can look me up. I'm on Facebook. I'm on the social media platforms. If you look me up on Instagram, it is Action P Fish.
What is it?
Action Jackson.
Action P.
Hold on.
If you want to.
Action P.
Fish.
I love it.
PFISH. So Action P Fish.
Yep.
Don't say it that way.
That's your handle.
That's my handle.
Your handle.
Don't say it that way. Don't say it that way.
Your handle is Action P Fish.
That's it.
It's actually
on
Action
Instagram.
Fit.
Yes.
fish. Action fish.
Sure. The P actually stands for something.
Well, I mean, you can't.
All right, we're listening. We're listening. Come on, bro.
Action performance fishing.
Whoa!
I thought it was a fish that drank too much coffee.
Oh my gosh!
No. Right. That's if you want to have some fun. You want to delve into some IAQ stuff. You reach me on the email right here. Also, I'm not afraid to give my number out. The whole world has my phone number: 903-288-4825.
That's awesome. Is that a Sherman number?
No,
that would be Tyler, right?
972. What is
not
it?
quite that far. 903-288-4825. Don't call me at 11 o'clock at night now.
Put your fucking phone on silent. Stop whining. People are calling you for business. Just take it.
There you go.
Jeez Louise. Okay. Doesn't come up on Instagram. He says it doesn't come up on Instagram. Andrew says 903 extension, baby. East Texas, baby. ETX, baby. Oh, I wanted to tell everybody. I know the printing shop that's doing the rebranding for Texas A&M. Or Texas A&M Commerce. It's actually changing from Texas A&M Commerce to, ready, you ETX people, to East Texas A&M. It's changing to East Texas A&M instead of Texas A&M Commerce. Your screen is so blurry that no one could see it anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to be there on Tuesday. I don't call it Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Oh, Tony says, never mind. That's me, not spelling.
On Tuesday, you get to choose what you want to do.
Xavier says,
right. You guys want to hear a fun fact I just made up about New Jersey?
Let's have a fun fact, and then we're going to sign off here. Go ahead. What's your fun fact, Dan Baker?
Everett talked about from his. Well, here's a fun fact I just made up on the spot. 87.32% of all homes in New Jersey, they don't have windows.
No, there's no windows.
No windows.
I think the percentage is higher, actually.
That's why they don't grow hair. That's why they don't grow hair on their arms up there in Jersey.
We grow hair. We have lots of hairs, lots of hairy people. Any other he's got no hair.
I love it.
Any other last final thoughts here till we sign off here, and I
do have one quick callback as well, back to the Lysol, because we talked about reading the back. I tell you what, depending on the scent of Lysol, and listen, Everett will tell you this. I mean, this is the Jersey thing. When you run out of Axe body spray, if you waft Lysol in front of you and walk through, you're good to go. But I guess you can't do that. I guess you can't do that because you got to read the back of the can.
No, yeah, but we can't read the back of the can, so it doesn't matter, Dan.
There you go.
And also, Dan, keep in mind that I don't use Axe body spray anymore. Okay, I've upgraded.
Well, I know you use Lysol. That's why you have no hair on your arms.
I've upgraded from Axe. Hey, bro, listen to me, okay? I upgraded from. You know what I'm saying? I don't use the Axe body spray no more. You know, I really got nicer stuff than that. You know, come on, bro, get the fuck out of here. This guy over here. What's this guy talking about over here? Hey, who's got the most Italian freaking name ever? The most like ridiculous. Look at this guy.
Tony.
Can I tell you something? Tony and I work together. That's his real name. Anthony Doney. Tony Doney. Hey, TD. What's going on? My name's Tony Doney. Hey, TD. I'm your service technician. Let me roll up my sleeves here so I can get to work in your basement, right? Well, they don't have basements in Texas.
Jets fan because Jets never get TDs.
He's not. I don't think he's a Jets fan. I will say Tony's one of the best service technicians I've ever known. He's a great communicator.
Rock and roll, Tony.
And he's an incredible musician. Overall, Tony is like one of the, like, literally, like he's just such a good dude. He says Everett likes the Hollister body spray. How'd you know? Dude?
I thought so.
I upgraded to Hollister. It used to be Abercrombie, but they so I think Hollister just makes stores that looked exactly like Abercrombie just for younger people. They were like, oh, we're going to, we'll figure that out. Go into an Abercrombie store, then go into a Hollister store.
I don't think they make pants tight enough for Everett. I think he's still looking for the tight pants.
I can't, dude. I have like full back legs. You know what I mean? Don't look at me like that. What the fuck are you looking at me like that for? All right, guys.
Hey, Adam, that was awesome. I got to tell you, man, the way that you presented yourself, the way that you backed everything up with the facts, and Everett, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in like that, but it was thoroughly entertaining for sure. It was thoroughly, and not entertaining, but and very informative. I'm really glad. I'm really glad that that you came on and that we got to be part of it. So
thanks.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, Dan, do me a favor. Pull the camera back a little bit so everybody can see the sign behind your head that has like a devil demon on it. And it just says, I am Dan. It's a fantastic sign. Dan used to run one of the biggest haunted houses in the country. Very, very cool. Back in like the 1812s, it was a long time ago.
1810.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get you guys off of here. By the way, if anybody wants to reach Dan at Blue Collar Talent Scouts, what he's doing for the youth right now and getting youth into the trades, it's remarkable. So him and his partner Wood, they're doing a fantastic. This is not a plug. This is just a fact. What they're doing.
The average age of a tradesperson's in the 50s. We got to do something to bring the new blood in, or we're all in trouble. IAQ, plumbing, electrical, it doesn't matter.
Very, very cool. All right, I'm gonna make a couple announcements here, and I'm gonna hit you guys. Guys, peace out. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Dan, thanks for joining me. I thought that was a great episode. I really did. Coming up, I have the John D. Pasquale coming up on my next episode, which is gonna be next Thursday, unless I book something for Tuesday. And then, yes, that's. And then I have Amber Gage, and then I have Phil coming on, Phil Grego on the 13th. I have a world-renowned sales trainer, literally world-renowned sales trainer, business consultant. He's one of the heads of Zig Ziglar Corporation. The guy's a world-renowned author. His name's Howard Partridge. We hit it off. It's just one of those things. I'm like blessed to have him on the show. He actually, we talked anyway. And then I have Mike Montano coming on. Mike owns Review Buzz. He's got a lot of cool things coming up with like some AI stuff and everything else. It's not really a pitch, but he's going to tell his story about how he got where he was at and kind of the breaks that he had to take and stuff like that. So, anyway, very, very cool. And then I have a gentleman by the name of Helmy Benflaw, who owns a company in New Jersey, and Tony Doney knows exactly who he is. Helmy's going to be on next month at the end of the month. And if you don't know who Helmy is, he owns a company called Guaranteed Service. The guy is just, I don't have any words for the guy. You just have to watch the episode because he's interesting. All right, guys. I'll see you guys soon.